friends to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
one guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
finally another podcast about Godzilla and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, KES and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast from Odo Island. The podcast from Odo Island. Follow us on the Twitter at Odo Island Pod. I just had the worst week of my life and am KES, and with me as always is a Rice Krispie treat who can snap, crackle, and pop in my mouth any day. Ooh. Slick, how you doing?
Ooh. I'm doing well. This is officially the No Days Off podcast. You know, we thought we were going to be late. We thought we were going to maybe even miss an episode, but nope. We persevere.
Yeah.
Because as Gamera is the friend to all children, Gamera was watching over you over the past week and change.
World's
I don't
oldest
know.
child.
We just talked about it quite a bit offline. I don't know how much you would like to share, but you had a week.
Yeah, I wound up going to the hospital because I had some bad juju growing in my body, so they had to cut it out of me. And at first, I thought, we're gonna miss some time because I was gonna be in the hospital for an extended period of time. They kept on extending me. Then they said, "Oh, you're gonna be here until at least Tuesday," and that was like the worst thing in the world to hear. And then my doctor came in like 2 hours later and said, no, you can get out of here today. And so I left. That was Saturday yesterday. So we're recording on Sunday. We usually record a few days ahead of time, but we're recording day before we drop the episode. And so I'm here. I'm alive. I'm hopefully not going to have to go back there. And yeah.
Yeah, well, we are doing a remote setup. And as you said, you are not in your hospital bed. You are home, but you are recovering. So we're doing a little remote ski setup, and what a way to cap your week to talk about Gamera's second outing.
In a way, it's one of the highlights of my week.
Yeah, I mean, not to be too corny or anything like that, the last couple of years and we've in both of our respective personal lives, we've had some ups and downs over the last couple of years. I've always found podcasting to be a nice, fun distraction when things get rough. It's a nice little escape for a little bit. I enjoy that. So hopefully that is what you will get tonight out of this episode.
I always view it as an event, not a chore, so I'm happy to do it.
Exactly. Well, shall we just get right into it then?
Yeah, was there anything I missed? I didn't hear any news outlets or news stories about popping up this week.
I don't think anything too big broke over the past week that you were in the black hole. I think it was a fairly light news week, and that's fine because I think we'll have more to discuss in the purchases section of our show tonight. So
There's a new Cloverfield.
Yeah, I don't know. I
That's
get it. There is a new Cloverfield being made. That is right up your alley.
Yeah. Oh, so not to delay this any more than I have to, but my friend Starry, she lives in New York and she's an actress, and she was on the Ferris wheel where in the original Cloverfield they're on, and they're like, today was a good day, and they videotaped the satellite dropping to the ocean to wake up the monster. She was like on that today for like 6 hours filming something.
Oh,
I wonder if she's filming the new Cloverfield movie.
Get us the exclusive interview when the time is right, if that is the case.
I will.
You heard it here first. We're going to have some insider Cloverfield information at some point. Maybe.
But, yeah, why don't we dive right into it? Do you want to set this old table ski?
I'll set the old table. We have returned to the Showa Gamera franchise. We did Gamera versus Barugon, which was released in 1966. Known in the US in 1967 as War of the Monsters. It was released directly to the TV in 1967 by American International Television. They did the first US release. This, like most every other Showa Gamera movie, got a Sandy Frank release and a Sandy Frank dub. We'll come back to that, though. So this is Gamera's second outing, his first time fighting another monster. It was originally going to be Gamera versus the Ice Giants, which elements from that story were later reworked into what would become the Daimajin franchise from Dai. And then the story ultimately morphed into Gamera versus Barugon. Other little couple things of notes. This was supposed to be this was presented by the studio as an A-list production. It got a bigger budget than the first Gamera movie had. And Kojiro Hongo plays the lead in this movie. However, after agreeing to play the lead in the movie, Hongo had second thoughts and was worried about, that this movie would not be good for an actor and tried to get out of doing the movie. And he tried to do that by faking an illness. He faked having chills and a fever, and when studio reps came to see him and the director came to see him, he even went so far as to make fake blood-soaked tissues that he had around his room. Rather than let him out, they said, "Oh boy, we need you to get healthy, so we'll delay production for a month." And so there was no way out for Mr. Hongo. So ultimately, though, after doing the movie, he did not realize that the human cast was actually going to have as big of a role as it did in this movie. He thought it was like more just going to be like a monster spectacle and not much in the way of acting for a human character. And so after he did the movie, he regretted his attempts to get out of it and was happy to be in the movie. So we watched the US version, which again was more commonly known as War of the Monsters in the US. I kind of hate that most of the Showa Gamera movies have some sort of non-Gamera versus title, like War of the Monsters or Destroy All Planets. I always thought those were kind of hokey, shitty titles. I prefer going with the original, Gamera versus Barugon, Gamera versus Varas, things like that. So,
or even have it used as
we watched the US version.
Yeah.
So the last thing to set the table is two last things. We watched the US version. That's 88 minutes long. It's about 15, almost 20 minutes shorter than the Japanese version. I'll have thoughts on that later. And this was on Mystery Science Theater 3000 twice. Once in the original Minneapolis KTMA days, and then which I've never seen. I've never seen that version of this being on Mystery Science Theater 3000. But yeah, I've seen the season 3 one.
Yeah,
where that's kind of more like that. That's like classic Mystery Science Theater 3000 years right there. That's like the stuff I was like growing up with and watching on Comedy Central all the time. So yeah, the table is set. Over to you, Kes.
So this is the first time I've seen this movie in any way, shape, or form outside of Mystery Science Theater 3000. So it was the first. So I went into it like blank slate, knew nothing about it. Pretty much forgot like the entire Mystery Science Theater 3000 version anyway. So that was good. Very human focused, very little monster focused, which I usually don't like, but in this case it kind of worked. The plot of the story is a World War II veteran who's got bad knees. He's got his NBC on full volume in his hospital room and everything. It's an inside joke.
That's some off mic inside baseball right there.
He rounds up this group of guys, including his brother, to go after an Opal, which he found during the war, that he hid in a cave that he knew the locals wouldn't go into because of their religious beliefs. He's like, so it's got to still be there, and it'll make us millions, and we'll be rich. So, like, I'm sending my brother. You two go out there too. You find it. You bring it back. That's all you got to do. So they embark on this journey by swabbing the deck of this this boat.
And pretending to be a captain, one of them.
Yeah.
They're like smugglers too. They're not like, good guys. They're all like kind of like nefarious.
Yes. But I just enjoyed how they're swabbing the deck. They're like, there's got to be better work for us than this. He's like, 3 more days. So I did enjoy that. They get to the island, and of course, the locals have their beliefs. You can't go out there. Don't do it. There's a guy who I identified with who is sick of living in society, sick of the big city nights. And he's like, no. These people have it all figured out. This is an island paradise. I'm just going to live here with them. You can't go to that cave. So he's the one who's sort of like translating for them. They don't listen. They shoot him up and like they shoot their gun in the air to like warn him away, and they go to the cave anyway because they know better. And they get to the cave. They get the opal. Oh, first of all, before they get to the cave, one of my favorite scenes of this movie happens. They fall into quicksand.
The scorpion?
No. They fall into quicksand. And when that happens...
Oh, yes.
The first thing I said was, I was like, enjoy the malaria, pal. and so...
But also, like, in that quicksand scene, the way they try to do the save in the quicksand scene is, like, really, like, like, the guy, like, grabs, like, a branch at one point. I'm like, all right, he's gonna hold the branch out, like, for the guy to, like, pull up. Nope, he swings on it and says, like, hold my leg while I'm kind of like Tarzan swinging over this quicksand. I was like, what? That was stupid.
But like the guy who gets rescued, we'll talk about in a minute. So one of the guys falls into the quicksand. He's rescued by the other 2 guys. And so they get to the cave and they find the opal. And the guy who finds the opal is being loud and obnoxious and gets bit by a scorpion who are poisonous and dies immediately, which is what they said would happen. If you go into the cave, there's scorpions, you'll die.
Yes. And one thing I want to highlight with the scorpion too is that, like, when they're establishing the scorpions are deadly, like, one of the dudes, like, he shoots the scorpion and then he, like, picks it up and, like, stomps it. I was like, it's dead, dude. It's dead. It's dead. You already shot it, buddy. Like,
I forgot about that. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up because that was hilarious. So yeah, he shoots it, grabs it with a napkin, throws it down, and stomps on it. So then, like, the guy finds the opal. He's like, "Yatta!" He's screaming in the cave and dies via scorpion bite. So the guy who fell into the quicksand is like, "Give me the opal. You trust me, don't you?" And then that's when you know. That's when you know he's Jake Roberts and you don't trust him. So he gives him the gun. He gives the other guy the gun, and that guy gives him the opal. And they're like, okay, that seems like a fair trade. But like the original guy who set this whole thing in motion gave him a bunch of grenades, which are for some reason like have like a wick on them, and you have to light them up to set them off. For I have no idea why. And so like he like blows up the cave and traps the guy's brother in there, and so he escapes with the opal, and then he gets on the boat and has malaria. And I was like, whoa. This is a dumb guy movie. This is like a regular intelligence person movie. All right. So,
which they then proceed to treat with a heat lamp, which
that's not
then
malaria?
very conveniently, ultimately gets the heat lamp gets hit in the direction of where the guy is hiding the opal in his suit, and then hilarity unfolds.
Yeah, so the opal isn't an opal, it's an egg. It's a Barugon egg. And so Barugon hatches and sinks the ship when they're in the harbor. So close, no matter how far. So the guy who sets the whole thing up, who has the buyer there, he meets up with the guy who escapes from the ship, and he's just like, oh yeah, the other 2 didn't make it, but like I got the opal. It was in my coat pocket. The boat sank. Let's just hire some scuba divers, go there and get it real quick, and we'll be fine. The buyer says, no, you have to go do that. Don't talk to me until then. And the other guy's just like, how much money do you have? He's like, oh, I have about 10,000 yen. He's like, all right, let's hire some scuba divers. I had to kill 2 guys to get to this thing, and then not realizing
Yeah.
he's telling the person who they just murdered his brother. He's just like, "What are you talking about?" So they get into a fight where
The best fight.
there's no music. Yeah, there's no music during the fight. The guy's wife, who's the guy who set this thing up, his wife is there to like try to stop it. She gets knocked out, and then, long story short,
she takes a hell of a chair shot.
Yeah,
takes a hell of a chair shot bump.
Long story short, the guy who set this thing up, the guy who murdered his brother, throws 2 lockers on him and then steals his wallet and leaves his house as a fire breaks out, murdering him too. So this guy has now murdered 3 people and robbed a guy of his yen to hire a scuba team to find the opal. But
yeah, pretty wild stuff. Which from like after this movie, all the protagonists will be little children from this point on. But here we are with like kind of smuggler, thief dudes doing really nefarious shit so far, and like nobody is like particularly good in this movie. They're all kind of like different shades of gray in terms of moral character in this movie. Like there's no like good people in this movie for the most part.
Yeah, like the Islanders are good people; they're innocent enough, and like everyone who's like,
yes,
all like the mainland people who are dealing with Barugon are good enough, but like the main guy who's like almost like the main character is basically the antagonist of the movie, and but then lo and behold, the guy who was left for dead and thought like he was blown up and trapped inside the cave. The Islanders like saved him and brought him back along with the girl who is at the island. So he's still alive, but like his brother thinks he's dead. And then he comes back expecting to find his brother, not realizing that this guy had already killed him. So now he gets back, but his brother's dead. So it's a really weird dynamic going on with these 2 brothers. It's like they never really discovered that one was alive, and then like never got to like tell him what happened, basically.
Yeah, in the Japanese version of the movie, it's a lot more clearly stated that when the thief guy drops the lockers like on the protagonist's brother and like knocks his wife out like with a chair, that Barugon comes and destroys the apartment complex.
Oh, they mentioned
it's less clear in. Right, yeah, it's like it's not clear in the U.S. version. The Japanese version makes it a lot more clear than that. We did gloss over at the very beginning of the movie because Gamera is not around for a significant chunk of this movie, but the movie does start with a nice like recap, kind of explaining the first movie as to what happened. Gamera was in space, inside the capsule from Plan Z from the first movie. He collides with a random meteor, asteroid, whatever. He returns to Earth and attacks a dam at the beginning of the movie, and I actually thought that was a pretty good sequence when he attacks the dam. I thought that was a nice special effects sequence, and then he kind of flies off and says, I'll check in with all y'all in about like 45, 50-ish minutes. I'll catch it then. So enjoy the movie, y'all.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the dam, because that damn scene with those special effects and everything, like those types of special effects were used in like Lord of the Rings when they were doing Saruman's, when he was like building the Urukai like area, like, and they flood that and everything. Like it's the same type of special effects where it's all miniatures and like the water comes in. It looks really great in this movie though.
Yeah. This is definitely some of the best, I think, special effects. In the Gamera series is not known for its great special effects. I think this is probably a high point in the Showa series. So I guess that now we're at the point where Barugon is on the loose.
And Barugon, how would you describe Barugon?
So one thing I did mention and say on the table is that his head is a little bit bigger than it probably should be to make it easier for the actor inside. But, he's just kind of like a big iguana lizardy type thing with like a little row of spines. I actually like kind of like his design. It's like kind of goofy because his head is like a little too big for his body, but he's got like just a pretty simple like lizardy type design, big horn at the end, kind of like somewhere between like a dinosaur, like an iguana type thing. A really long, chilling tongue, really long tongue, and a cool rainbow beam that he shoots off his back. So he's like simple but like unique all at the same time.
Yeah,
it's like he's not like the most complex design, but like also like he sticks out in his own way.
Yeah, there's no other monsters with like his like special powers or abilities. Like his tongue is so weird. It looks like Macho Man's like wand, his scepter, with the big ball at the end, just covered in like it's like covered in like foil and then like spray painted red. It looks really weird.
Yeah, and I like so now that Barugon's like here, he kind of starts like rampaging through the city. He's attacking Osaka. And it's like he sprays like this like chilling mist, and I thought it like actually looked really cool. Like when like after he sprays it like across the city, like the whole like it's not often you see like an entire, especially at this point, like it's not often you see like rather than like you're used to seeing like all these like raging flames and fires. Instead, he just like basically freezes like all of the city and creates this like really cool snowy setting, which I don't feel like you usually kind of see in these like giant monster movies, and that becomes the backdrop for when him and Gamera have like their first attack, and Gamera is attracted by his rainbow beam. So because Gamera in this movie is just looking for energy wherever he can get it.
Yeah,
and
so it's funny when he shows up, he's like bouncing off of it. It's like a pinball machine.
Yes. Yeah, like Gamera seems a little dumb at some points in this movie. But and that's one of them where he just like keeps like flying into it. But like the first fight is it's a pretty one-sided affair, I would say. Like Barugon, I think, pretty much handles Gamera. He kind of freezes him, and although there is one hilarious part where like Barugon goes to get like a little close to like inflicts some more damage on a mostly frozen Gamera, and Gamera just like with his claw or whatever, like stabs Barugon like right in the face. I was like, and then like Barugon starts gushing blood. I was like, all right,
and what color
that was awesome.
Barugon's
and then it's purple.
Yeah, it's
like bluish purple.
He's got this weird bluish purple blood, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like you don't often see like that color. It's usually green.
Yeah, that was cool, and I like how Barugon responds by getting pissed and freezing Gamera more and like flipping him on his back and basically being done with him.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, that was cool. Not like the greatest fight on the planet, but
no, not by any means.
But no, yeah, but it was effective. It was. I mean, I don't know, that like Gamera punch stab to the face that made up for the lack of like they clearly could not like that Barugon suit looks so thin.
Yeah,
that's like, okay, they probably can't really. And like that the Gamera suit doesn't look like the most mobile thing on the planet.
Yeah,
like that's probably like you're not gonna get a
most of this.
You're not gonna get like a Godzilla style fight. Right, exactly. But I thought it. It's like one of those 5-star classics where they never went to the top rope once.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
But then, so then they discover that, like, oh, well, let's lure Barugon to the water because he can't live there. So they get, like, this big diamond. And now the thief is like, oh, that thing's worth 100 times more than the Opal. So now he wants to like, there's, like, no depth this guy won't sink to in order to enrich himself. So, like, somehow, like, the guy's brother and the girl like manipulate their way into being like with the group that's like trying to lure Barugon into the water. And so that's the rest of this movie basically, is them trying to solve the Barugon problem by luring him into water, but he won't go there. He will only follow them for a short bit where he just like, he's like, nah, I know what you're trying to do, and he just like stops.
Yeah, and then Gamera can. Well, actually, I want to make sure we cover this part because there is a fight between the protagonist and the thief guy where he ultimately gets stabbed or sliced at some point, and he's bleeding, and the the woman from the island is like, she's like, well, look at that, you're bleeding. Why don't I suck all that blood out of your wound? And then like, and then she has like a little bit of blood coming down her chin. I was like, what the shit was that? And then it's like, but that becomes like a loving moment between the two of them. And I was like, this is so strange. This like tender moment over this blood sucking scene. I was like, all right. Like he like wipes like his own blood from like her chin, right. Like while they like look lovingly into each other's eyes. And I was like, huh. How do you go back from that? How do you go back from that?
It was really gross. She clearly does not care about like diseases or anything like that. So she just, yeah. But he does discover that this guy killed his brother during the fight scene. So he ties him to a post and just leaves him there. Like, for some reason. Like, he doesn't like call anyone to like pick him up, be like, yeah, this guy murdered my brother. Nope. Just ties him to a post and leaves him. Just
yeah.
So a girl comes in 5 seconds later and leaves him.
Yeah, his mistress. I should interject here that in the Japanese, like, so in this part of the movie, in the US version, there's a lot of voiceover where they kind of say like, oh yeah, they're trying to lure Barugon like to the water with a diamond and stuff. And then in the Japanese version, there's about 20 minutes of scenes where the protagonist is like meeting with the military and like the woman is explaining that like, you know, on the island where she grew up, like they know Barugon is like attracted to diamonds. Like, you know, they killed Barugon in the past by like sinking him into the ocean with diamonds, and Barugon's like a demon that essentially appears like every 1,000 years. And it's like, that's good backstory for Barugon, but it's like, it's literally them talking like in like a military headquarters, and it's like, you know, it's maybe like the overdubbing narration to this is like a little, like it's the editing in the US version maybe a little too abrupt, but at the same time too, like those scenes aren't really that good in the Japanese version. Like we don't need them, and I was glad they kind of chucked that out.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you needed them, but it is kind of weird how they're just there with them at the end. I'm just like, all right. Makes sense, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah, right. Maybe something in the middle would have worked a little bit better on that one.
But one of the funnier scenes I thought in this movie too, well, not as funny as the previous scene with the scorpion, but the protagonist and the girl, they're on this boat, like trying to shoot Barugon with like a missile or something. At this point, they have the diamond, I mean, and they see the antagonist guy on another boat just approaching them, and they just do nothing about it. They just let him
they have two soldiers. They have two soldiers on their boat. He's able to get on the boat, shoot one of the soldiers, and then take the diamond without any recourse, and then Barugon just turns around and eats him.
Right. So before we get there, though, there's a scene where they discover one of Barugon's other weaknesses, which is when he uses his rainbow beam, it destroys this Jeep and everything but like the mirrors. Like the mirrors are left untouched.
Oh, right. So
they're like, oh, okay, so let's try to use this to our advantage. So they kind of like lure Barugon to this area at first, which is where they are here. And he fires his beam off, and it goes into this dish, which is all mirrors, which sort of fires back at Barugon, and now he's all weakened and stuff. He's all bloody because they used his own beam against him. And then they're just like, oh, well, he learned his lesson. Like, now that like he knows we're going to use the beam against it, he'll never use it again. And it was like, oh, so it's like a shittier Shin Godzilla. Instead of adapting, he's just like, no, I'm not going to do it anymore.
Although I do like that pretty much every plan they hatch to try to stop Barugon does ultimately fail.
Yeah.
It's like, it works like a little tiny bit, and then they just like, no. So much for that.
Yeah, screwed now. But then luckily, Gamera unfreezes and rejoins the fight. Gamera barely in this movie, probably in it for like 3-5 minutes tops. But it is funny when Barugon eats the antagonist dude, because he gets the diamond from the ship, and he's like, haha, and then just immediately dead from his weird tongue. Which leads us to the grand finale, which is Gamera and Barugon squaring off one more time, but this time doesn't have to worry too much. Like Barugon's like pretty weakened from his own being used against him, and Gamera's like fresh, he's unfrozen and everything. So they square off, and
he's thought out.
Yeah. So they square off and they battle underneath the water and stuff, where Gamera basically just wins. Then he flies away.
Yeah, a little bit more physical the second time around. Gamera kicks him into the water.
Yeah.
Kind of goes, oh, he's weak to water. And so when he goes Dragon Under behind the scenes, like the Barugon suit would not sink. So they actually had to cut the head off, basically. And so Gamera like is basically just pulling the head of the suit, and then they have like kind of like the tail sticking out of the water. And gets Barugon into the water and kills him. And Gamera has taken his first turn towards a babyface turn in the Showa series.
Yeah. So the way Gamera kicks Barugon into the water is pretty hilarious, because it's one of those like wired like one of those like wired jump things. So instead of going like how normally like a soccer ball would and like a loop type or an arch, he just goes like straight across for a little while and then just falls in the water.
Yeah, I read 20 wires to make that happen.
Jesus,
that's a lot.
That's so much work. But it's overall like, I don't know. What do you think of the monsters in this movie? Like, underwhelming?
I actually like, again, I think the fights weren't good, but I actually liked Barugon a lot more than I thought I would like Barugon. I liked that he just he's just, especially in the Showa era of both Godzilla and Gamera, he's fairly unique in terms of his like powers and abilities, and it's like, again, I really liked like the winterized, snow covered like Osaka set, like after like he attacks the city, and so like I like kind of like low key like really liked the monster stuff. Again, not like the greatest fights, but I thought like it made sense to me. The Barugon's like, oh, okay, like, well, I'm just gonna freeze you immediately, and there's no like, he just went right to his like most potent attack and succeeded, and like defeats Gamera pretty quickly. And then he gets like stabbed, and it was smart booking. It was booking that made sense to me. There was no flips, no dips, not a bunch of super kicks and Canadian destroyers. Just Barugon worked a match that made sense to me. Okay. Even though it wasn't the most exciting thing, I was like, okay. I was like, I get it. I get it. Makes sense to me. But so I kind of like low key really liked the monster stuff in the movie. I'll pause there. What were your thoughts?
I liked Barugon too. Like, I thought he was cool. One of the cooler scenes was when he was like walking towards like the diamond, like they have the diamond in the vehicle, so they're just like sort of backing up, and like Barugon's like walking towards it. I thought that was a really cool scene. But Gamera is like barely in the movie. You barely see him. When you do see him, he's usually like flying, so you don't get a good shot of him. You really don't see him too well until he's underwater at the end, where you get like a full body shot. Yeah. Other than that, not too much Gamera. That was pretty underwhelming. The fight stuff, very underwhelming, but like, I get it. It's the 60s, so what can you do?
Well, on the Godzilla side of things, they're doing some pretty sweet stuff at this point. So
I was gonna say like that's a little different. Like, they're higher budget. Like, that's like top.
Oh line.
Like, this, they're Coke, and this is
Tab soda.
Yeah, exactly. So they're doing their best. They're doing their best with what they have. But I thought Barugon was good. Gamera, pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, sometimes I think of these Gamera movies in terms of like what's going on the Godzilla side of things at the same time or around the same time. And it's like we've already gotten Ghidorah the three-headed monster. We already got Monster Zero. We're at Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, or Ibra, Horror from the Deep at this point. And it's just, there's a notable difference between the what they could do in the Gamera side of things and like even on like the cheaper side of the lower budget Godzilla stuff. Just doesn't really hold a candle, monster stuff wise. But that said, this comes out at the same time as Ibra Horror from the Deep, right? And it's like Ibra also has kind of like this cast of, misfit, like, it's got the safecracker dude who's like, they have all like stolen a boat and stuff like that. It's like another like movie.
Well, they tried
of, like,
to earn
like
a boat
weird...
through a dance competition first.
They did. They sure
didn't
did.
Just steal a boat. They tried to do it the right way. Society rejected it. So,
and they took matters into their own hands. But like that crew, that cast, I found a lot more entertaining throughout Ibra. And then this was like it was nice to have a Gamera movie where there's no kids whatsoever. That was great. But I thought a lot of the human stuff was like just really slow. And again, not the woman from the island, but like all the other characters are like pretty much like not likable. Like they're not good people. Like they don't have like a lot of like redeemable traits. Like it's just like. So I was like, they spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time with them kind of talking about like their conflict with each other. And I go like, well, I don't really care about like any of you, like I was like, none of you were like good people. Like, I don't care if good things happen to you. In fact, I don't want good things to happen to you. So like, you're not really anchoring the non-monster part of the story for me, Well,
good things really don't happen for them. I mean, the guy's brother dies. He gets a bunch of people killed, and then at the end, he's just like, "I'm all alone."
That's true. That's true.
My only brother's dead. I'm all alone, and the girl's just like, "All alone with me."
Someone who has a weird desire to suck blood out of you. So that's great. I guess actually, as we talked it through, I guess everyone does kind of get what they deserve now, don't they?
Yeah. So it's kind of a weird movie. Do you want to try to rank it?
Yeah. I do. I keep struggling between... So our ranking system is 1 star, it is a jobber, like the Brooklyn Brawler. 2 star, it's a lower mid-carder, like later Tito Santana. 3 star, a straight up mid-carder, like Wheeler Yuta, I guess. 4 star is an upper mid-carder, which I guess that'd be like Matt Riddle at this point. Just having watched Extreme Rules last night. Then 5 stars, a main eventer. It's your Roman Reigns. You got to acknowledge that movie. I don't know. I keep bouncing between whether this is a 2 or a 3.
Ooh. So
I don't really know where I land.
You're thinking this is an El Matador to a Wheeler Yuta?
Yeah, because when I was watching it, I go, I really enjoy the monster stuff. And I think it's really well presented. But then the human stuff, I just go, nope, don't care for this at all. Like, it's like, I almost like wish if it was like even 20 minutes shorter, probably be an instant 3 star. So I don't know. As we talked it through though, I came away with a little bit more of a positive view. So I think I'm going to lean to the 3. I think I'm going to give it Wheeler Yuta status.
All right. I'm going to agree with you on this, and I'm going to say firm 3, Will or Yuta. However, it is for the exact opposite reasons. I didn't care too much for the monster stuff when it was monster on monster. I liked Barugon by himself. I thought that was fine. But I actually thought the people stuff for the first 40 minutes of the movie, I was like, okay, so this is pretty entertaining. It's a little by the numbers, like from everything else I've seen. A little bit Indiana Jones, a little bit, Ibra, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But I was like, I like how everyone's a dirtbag though, and everyone sucks. And like the guy who finds the opal starts screaming, and then he just gets a scorpion attack and dies immediately. I like how like his brother's like sad about it, but then gets like blown up into the cave and gets stuck there. I like how the other guy's a dirtbag who has like no remorse for what he's done and contracts malaria because of it. Like there's so much little stuff that I just enjoyed out of that first like 40 minutes, and then
sure.
And then when Barugon shows up, I'm like, okay, the movie started finally. Thank you.
Yeah, I will say too. We watched. Did you watched the link that I sent you?
Yes.
So yes, we watched a link that was on archive.org. I will say I own this movie in about 3 different ways on DVD, so this is truly a backup for me. But the version we watched is actually somebody effectively pulled together like basically all the best quality 4K Blu-ray footage they could find of this movie, and it was like a really, really high quality release of the movie. It was like really, really really crisp, really good looking. I thought it was I was actually it made me appreciate how well they put a lot of money and effort into the presenting this movie, filming this movie. We're not going to get that through the rest of the Showa series. Like literally, the next movie is nowhere nearly close in terms of production values as this movie. Yeah, and so I appreciate that. That was good.
But yeah, I think,
and this is also the end of Gamera being serious. It's not going to it's all kids from here on out.
Yeah, and I think this movie. I wouldn't say it's anything great or like you have to seek it out or anything like that, but like if you do have to watch this movie, watch the way we did it because it was a pretty high quality release.
Yeah. Well, all right, we did it. Gamera versus Barugon. You're a 3-star.
You are a solid. What a wheeler Yuta you are. Hey, Slick.
Yes.
Did you get any figs?
I did, and more. Did you get any while you were away this week?
No, I didn't get any while I was in the hospital.
So, I got a handful of things. Actually, now that I look at it, it's 2 things from Super 7 and two items from Playmates. Ooh. So I will start with the Super 7 stuff.
All right.
I got so Super 7 released. I don't know if you saw these, but they randomly released these 3 vintage Halloween masks. One for Godzilla, one for Mechagodzilla, one for Hedorah.
Yep.
They're old 70s style. Mask that's essentially they're kind of like a hard plastic with a little rubber band thing you put over your head.
Yeah,
I got the Godzilla one because yes. So I got the Godzilla one because that might basically be my Halloween costume this year.
All right.
So that was cool. I was comes in some cool packaging. It was only $20. I thought that was a nifty little item. Also on the Super 7 front, I love the reaction figures. They are as of this recording, they are still my favorite figures of the year to this point. I got what was the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive glow-in-the-dark ones for Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, and Jet Jaguar. I got those. However, earlier in the week, I was at the Newbury Comics that is by us, and I actually saw the glow-in-the-dark Jet Jaguar there. So I don't know if that means they're exclusive any longer or not. That was a little little perplexing to me because they've also announced that Rodan and Mothra are getting a glow-in-the-dark variant for the New York Comic-Con coming up.
So I got a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that wasn't Godzilla related, so I won't talk about it. But the company that it's from, WWE.com, released it on their own website for like a little bit of a markup. So I guess like these Comic-Con exclusives aren't so exclusive anymore.
I guess. So, but either way, like, I mean, the boxes on the glow-in-the-dark ones are like awesome. Like, I'm not gonna open them. I'm gonna keep them mint in the package. Like, it's Godzilla 54, it's Mechagodzilla and Jet Jaguar, and like the glow-in-the-dark gimmick for them is fantastic. The Mothra and the Rodan ones, the boxes themselves are also going to glow in the dark.
Oh, nice.
Which these don't. So I'm going to ultimately have to get those to complete the set now. But I'm going to wait a little bit because originally these glow-in-the-dark ones were going for a high price, and I just kind of waited it out for about like a month or two. And I ended up getting them for about like $22 a piece is kind of what it worked out to be. And I was like, I think that's pretty fair for what I think is supposed to be exclusives. I don't know why I saw one randomly in stores, but whatever. I love those figures. Switching over to the Playmate side of things, I got the Battle Roar Mechagodzilla, which it's the same mold as like the 10-inch Mechagodzilla is basically, with a little bit more paint on the chest, and has the roaring gimmick. Pretty cool. I mean, it's, again, if you already have the other Mechagodzilla figures, nothing really new much to report other than it roars. I mean, it's not as articulated as the 6-inch ones are. It's pretty much just like the arms can move up and down, and the legs can kind of move up and down. But had a little bit of another surprise purchase earlier today. And I think this was kind of making the rounds on Twitter while you were at the Hardy compound. I don't know if you saw, but Five Below has gotten some Playmates minifigures of Mechagodzilla.
Oh, wow.
You can see that. Awesome. I'm holding up to my camera. Mechagodzilla and Kong.
Awesome.
And Godzilla, and I want to focus on this Godzilla one here for a minute, because the mold that's used for this mini, they're about like 3 inches, maybe a little, 3 inches, maybe a little shorter than 3 inches tall. The detail is good on them. The paint application, for where there is paint, is actually pretty good. The Godzilla one actually kind of more resembles the same mold, very similar mold to what Jax was using for those smaller figures.
Interesting.
That came out of the play set.
Not the first time someone said that about Playmates.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. Like, if you could see him holding my camera up to you, Godzilla's he's got a little bit of a wide. He's been hitting the shoulders pretty good.
Yeah, he's a
little muscular,
a thick boy. What are the feet looking like? Are they in a walking pose?
No, they're kind of like just bent. But yeah, I gotta say the mold for this is actually better than like the 6-inch Playmates legendary Godzilla mold that they use.
So the reason I ask,
I was happy about this.
The reason I ask is because if he's not in a walking pose, it makes me question if it's a Playmates mold.
Yeah, well, yeah, that makes me more think that it's perhaps a Jax mold. However, the Kong is also like, he's just kind of like standing upright. He's like,
okay,
he's not walking at all. But yeah, so these are out at your local Five Below. I found them this morning, and good news, I bought a set for you, which I was going to give to you, but we are not recording in person. And I wasn't sure if you were able-bodied, but I will drop it off at some point this week, because I came across them randomly, and I said, "Well, we gotta scoop these fellas up."
Thanks, pal.
So you too will also have a set of basically borderline dollar store Godzilla figures.
I'm cool,
but they're cool though. I mean, the paint is like Godzilla's teeth are painted well. The detail's okay. The Mechagodzilla one is they painted his eyes. That's pretty good. You know, the Mechagodzilla one looks pretty much just like the 6-inch figure, just shrunk down.
All right.
So, you know, not bad. Not bad. Another random release from Playmates, and not bad. You know, they're cool. Again, like I said, they made like Five Below is basically like, you know, it's like a dollar store, except everything is $5 or less. Yeah. So, you know, so that's kind of what these are. They're like articulated dollar store figures, basically, is what they are.
Nice.
But, you know, they're well done. They're cool. I like them. Kong is probably the least impressive of the bunch, but not bad. Not bad.
Excellent. Well,
so there you go.
Thanks
That's
for
all my
those
stuff
up for me. I'm not really able to get around for a couple more days.
you had a week, you know. So when I saw them, I was like, he's gonna want these, and they're like, yeah. So I just grabbed another set because I mean, I don't know. What if they're not sitting around there for long? You know,
maybe.
Still no Godzilla Ultimas. Can't find any Ultimas at any of our local Targets at this point.
One day.
I mean, I've seen people posting that they've been finding Godzilla Ultimas at Targets that are in like New Jersey. So I feel like that's getting close to us.
Yeah.
So
you know, way up here.
Soon.
I'm looking forward to.
So yeah, those are my
of that line.
Yeah. I don't think that Ghidorah is anywhere close to being out yet. I don't think. Oh no, we saw like some people overseas had it, right?
I've definitely seen pictures of it. So
yeah,
I don't know where it was.
Yeah, I don't think it's made to the States yet, though. Yeah, I think there was a couple pictures of people having it, but I think they all were in China at the moment.
Okay.
I don't think it's. I don't even think it's made to like the UK yet. So, that's probably gonna be like by the end of the year type thing. So.
Excellent.
Oh, and I got I forgot. I got a Godzilla winter hat at an arts and craft fair or artisan fair in Salem yesterday.
Nice.
Where they tried all the witches. So
and
so that was an unlicensed product that I got.
The witches, John Proctor. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Real people doing some real messed up things to acquire land. Really wild stuff.
Yep. You can read all about it in the Crucible, though.
Yes, of course. So yeah, that's all my stuff. That's actually a good pivot to what we're doing next, because it is the spooky season.
Ooh. Yeah, we're in October right now. I would probably say your probably favorite month, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A big Halloween person on this end.
I'm not a big September guy, but I do like October.
Nobody is. Yes.
I do like October. Not a big November guy, but I do like October. Last year, I was the girl from GMK for Halloween at your party.
Yeah, that was good.
So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be a Godzilla character this year, nor are we going to be watching a Godzilla movie for our next episode, because we're going to take we're going to take a turn and we're going to cover the Bride of Frankenstein movie.
Yes, I think one of our full disclosure, one of our both mutually favorite Universal monster movies. So that'd be cool to do a little Halloween special on that movie.
Yeah, it's lauded for more closely following the book than the original. A lot of background on this movie, and it's great.
Yes. Yes. A classic, a total classic. So one of my personal favorites. I like to watch it every year, somewhere in between my as I'm marathoning rewatching the old Buffy seasons. So I like to do that every October as well.
I like to stick to my slashers. I watched Halloween Kills and Jason Goes to Hell last night when I got home. Those were that's sort of my wheelhouse. Like, the new. I don't know if you've watched any of the new Halloween movies, but I think they kick ass.
I saw some of the Rob Zombie ones.
Not those. Yeah, I don't think those are any good. And nothing against.
I will
Rob Zombie,
also. Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, I mean, that's not really like the style of movie that I like anyway, which is funny because we will soon be on another podcast talking about Halloween 3 in the near future at some point this month. Yeah, Rob Zombie also did the reboot of The Munsters, which I will watch at some point in the very near future, maybe this week or next week. I would like to check that out. I like more like the campy stuff like that. That's like Plan 9 from Outer Space, I guess is like my, I guess it's a little cliche to cite, but like that's like one of my favorite movies that are like that, are like, that's like my wheelhouse. I like the classic monster movie stuff and the campy monster movie stuff.
Yeah, I'm sort of all over the place. I like it all. Whether it's like the stupid gore stuff from the 80s, the slasher stuff from the 80s, or like some of the modern stuff, I think it can be really good. I'm just not too big into the jump scare, like relying on that to be your scary stuff. Not into that scene, but like I think the new Halloween movies are really great, so I would definitely recommend those. But yeah, we're going to cover Halloween 3 on Matt's podcast, and I'm looking forward to what you think of that movie because I've already watched it and I know what my thoughts are.
Yes, I'm waiting till we actually secure a date, and then I will. I want to watch it really close, so I'm fresh, very fresh on it.
Gotcha.
I've never seen Halloween 3.
Okay,
never seen.
It's
often
overlooked,
and I don't know much about
it. I'll just spoil this for you because there's no Michael Myers in this movie. This is when they tried to make it like an anthology. For like every year, every couple of years, they'll release a scary movie called Halloween, and they'll tie it into like the Halloween universe. But like everyone rejected it because they were just like, no, Michael Myers.
Okay, I think that is like all I knew about the movie is that there's no Michael Myers. But other than that, I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
So, good. I like going in. It's nice to go into a movie having like no preconceived notions and knowing like really nothing about it. So
yeah, so I'll leave it at that. But yeah, so in 2 weeks we'll do Bride of Frankenstein here, and then in November it'll be Godzilla's birthday again. So we'll be back on that bandwagon. Riding those coattails for clout.
Yeah, and we'll probably have some news and like a more nationally released Shin Ultraman. So we'll probably have that in our future too. So
excellent.
They have signed several distribution deals in the US, and hopefully that means we're going to get it. I know it has leaked on the internet, but I am not going to bootleg it. I'm going to wait to see it. As it was intended.
Okay.
So, I have still avoided spoilers to this point. So
still do not know anything
that's
about
good.
the movie. So
yeah, I think the closest thing I got to spoilers is whatever has happened in Godzilla Battle Line. So, but I'm fine with that. That's fine with me.
Speaking of that, I think Barugon from Gamera would be a good leader because like. His Rambo attack would be a good special. Okay, yeah. I could see that. And then, like, if you put Gamera in the game, Gamera immediately just flies towards the rainbow while it's out in the field and stops doing anything else other than just slamming into the rainbow repeatedly for no good reason. Very good, yes.
So, yeah, maybe we'll get that crossover in Battle Line. Who knows?
Doubt it. But yeah, that was fun. We covered a real weird movie this week. We're gonna cover a great one next time. Anything you'd like to leave the audience with?